Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks Data. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who hasn't tested his blood pressure in about 30 years. It's Norbert Morvan.
Lot of mercy.
Wait, have you?
I have not tested my blood pressure in years because I don't want to know. All the cheese. All the cheese, man. There's no way.
So if you listen to our Dawn of the Dead episode or our Cube episode, we had a long talk. Cube. Oh, brother. What if the cube was that dangerous but made of cheese?
Look, I stay in the cube forever. I walk into the acid room to melt the cheese a little bit. So now I've got a little bit of melted cheese. You know, the possibilities are limitless, man. The one room that cuts you into cubes, now it cuts my cheese into cubes. I'm cubing in the cube. Oh, my God, I'm gleaming the cube.
You're cubing cheese in the cube?
I'm cubing cheese in the cube while gleaming the cube. Okay? What do you know about that?
If only there was like some nice jam or, crackers. But that's the other cube.
Cheese in the cube. Anyway.
Somehow you're in the cheese cube, I'm in the cracker cube, and it's like, guys.
Why are we so far apart, right?
Guys.
Why are we so far apart?
All right, so hey, thanks for joining me on this discussion about this. Let's name him Chuck Finley. Chuck Finley testing his blood pressure in Dawn of the Dead, and before he can.
Okay.
So this whole thing came about where I've loved Dawn of the Dead. And I love when the guy sits down and tries to test his blood pressure. He really wants to know. But before he can finish, he is killed and his arm is ripped off. And, of course, the gag is that the blood pressure is 000.
Right.
So I kind of thought to myself, what would his blood pressure have been?
Well, it's a good question. And let's analyze this scene here. Okay. So when we see Chuck, we've named him Chuck.
Chuck Finley.
Okay. So Chuck Finley enters our consciousness by carrying a mannequin for some reason, a female mannequin, and then sticking the mannequin in the little caddy corner between the blood pressure machine and the stand. He's wearing a sombrero for some reason, and he quickly decides, oh, snap, I need to get my blood pressure checked. So he's running, so his blood pressure is already going to be off for the test, right?
Yep.
Also, he's carrying a mannequin. What do you say a mannequin is what, 5-6 pounds?
Yep.
A full mannequin?
A little bit of a pump.
So he's carrying this mannequin. He quickly, boom, places the mannequin down, jams his arm in, and he's waiting. Also, hundreds of the living dead are surrounding him, making all the noise and the stench.
Stress.
So we got stress.
Yeah.
We got stress. We're not going to get an accurate reading, I think, but we'll get an accurate reading of a man who's being pushed to his breaking limit.
And I also have some other. I also have. Yeah, he did. He definitely lost it. That's a great point, Norbert. He just went insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is he carrying a mannequin? Why is he wearing a sombrero that has tassels on it?
So he wants to die.
He clearly.
That's interesting. So you know what I did? So I have, my mother-in-law is a nurse, so I called her up. My father-in-law was a firefighter. My mom was a social worker / nurse. And I have a good friend who I worked with who is an EMT driver. And I also have a cousin who also is an EMT. And I have a friend that went through all the EMT training. So I talked to 7 people and I brought up that no blood pressure, and I brought up everything. They by then I had been doing my weird data for a year, so they knew exactly what was going on. This wasn't an off-the-wall question. So after all these people, I kind of guessed his blood pressure would be 202 over 128, so 202 systolic, 128 diastolic. But
that seems really high.
The variables, but here's what I came up with. This guy's had a lack of sleep for years, months to years. Yeah. Right? You're on the road. Yeah. You're never going to get 8 hours. You're not.
It's probably not possible. You guys are making a lot of noise, drawing a lot of zombies to you. You're eating canned food.
So that's a lot of sodium heavy diet. That's a lot of processed food. So you're doing that. Totally. Also, there's really no coffee around, I would say. But also, he's probably not drinking water all the time. So he has a lack of sleep. Chuck Finley's dehydrated.
Chuck Finley's in a motorcycle gang. I'm pretty sure that Chuck Finley is mainlining uppers because it's 1978. And, it was legal for baseball players to just basically be on uppers all the time. So Chuck Finley is mainlining uppers and let's assume Cheap Jack. So alcohol consumption, Jim Beam, sodium heavy diet. Yeah. Every day it's stress. I mean, this is a motorcycle gang. So the one thing about motorcycles is, especially with zombies are around, sometimes when you're in the car, and people should not tune out when they drive their cars, but when you're on a motorcycle, you really have to be one with the road. You have to focus. Baby. So he isn't able to turn off. So he's always has this stress. He's always lack of sleep. He's dehydrated. He's probably had some alcohol in him. He is sodium heavy diet.
a lot of stress and fear. So for years to months, he has lived a very unhealthy lifestyle, Chuck Finley.
And he wasn't in the best of shape in the world beforehand, you know.
Yeah, and
he's not the thinnest guy.
Yeah, he didn't look too great. So I mean, there's a lot of puffiness. Do you think?
Yeah. He's definitely puffy. And again, I draw attention back to the sombrero with tassels. I mean, it's a sombrero. So why do we need tassels on a sombrero? A sombrero is already ostentatious, if you will, absurd. It's a massive hat. You put tassels on top of it. Hey, man, your mental state, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe all the spam on the road and the constant evading zombies on the motorcycle.
And as we talked about, cheese gets mold, so maybe you had some moldy cheese.
Moldy cheese is bad for you. That being said, I have eaten moldy cheese multiple times. Right. And Chuck's definitely eaten moldy cheese. Moldy cheese and spam.
I have to tell you.
Unfiltered cigarettes. It's 1978.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So then doesn't that sort of further dehydrate you as well, smoking? Not dehydrate, but kind of.
Well, there is that. And also, what did he need the mannequin for? I mean, so many questions with Chuck.
You know what's kind of crazy?
So many questions.
During his mindset, though, I felt like he pulled off that sombrero really well. If I wore that sombrero, I would be very self-conscious and I would look silly. I think you could pull that sombrero off because you wouldn't have an ounce.
Perhaps.
I don't think you would seem self-conscious wearing it.
Well, maybe then he's carrying the mannequin to draw attention away from the sombrero, the ostentatious sombrero.
That's very interesting. So it's like wearing a T-shirt with something crazy, like a crazy saying on it to take away from the fact that you're wearing a cheese head.
Exactly. Because the mannequin is a female mannequin, first of all. So, okay, questions. The mannequin's got on a pretty conservative red sweater and some nice slacks. So, you know, okay, now we have some disturbing thoughts here about this mannequin. But, you know, let's move on. Okay.
Let's assume that's what it's for. Now, I like your theory that he took, during this melee, he takes a mannequin so that the other bikers don't focus on his hat.
Right.
That's like close-up illusion. That's, you know, that magic that you do when you're looking at, you want them to look at something else, and they're not looking at the trick.
Gotta have a diversion. That's right. Gotta have a distraction. Something that catches the eye to draw you away from the obvious chicanery in your midst.
Wow.
There are shenanigans afoot with this sombrero because, you know, what is he hiding? Maybe he's got a zombie bite under this sombrero, you know? Don't look at the hat.
What do you think the blood pressure of the sombrero would have been?
I'm going to assume that sombrero's blood pressure was 80/20.
80/20.
Because that sombrero is cool as a cucumber. Not for nothing. I like the sombrero. I just think that it does not need the tassels. Like, what's happening? Are you graduating? You know, so when you escape from the mall, are you going to move the tassel from one side to the other? Like, oh, I did it. You know, I survived the Monroeville Mall. Like, what's happening?
Well, this was the late 70s, and it was Pittsburgh. And if you recall, remember the tassel craze of Pittsburgh in the late 70s?
Okay. Yes.
Like the Steelers
craze
had tassels from their helmets. The Pittsburgh Pirates had tassels from their baseball caps. The Penguins had tassels on their shoes.
And the jeans, you would take a tassel and put it on your jeans.
Instead of bell bottoms, tassel bottoms.
Dukes of Hazzard was on.
Tassel bottoms.
Right. Dukes of Hazzard was on. Mm-hmm. And the blood pressure for those tassels, 120/40.
So I came up with the 202 systolic pressure because Chuck is in the throngs of chaos, and between the exercise stress and physical exertion, it's easy to assume that 200 would be cross. So according to multiple sources, it's possible for the range to be anywhere from 180 to 220. So I kind of split it, and I went above that and went 202, which feels right to me, Norbert.
It's a good call. Again, the mannequin's not light. I also think he was either attracted to the mannequin or using it to, again, distract from the ostentatious sombrero.
And if he's attracted to the mannequin, his, not libido, but his blood pressure's going more because he's in the throngs of passion.
Well, eventually, you know, he's anticipating the throngs of passion. So I think that would increase his blood pressure as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Chuck's got a lot on his mind beyond the spam and the moldy cheese and the bottle of Jim Beam. He's got to get his blood pressure ready, maybe because he's, you know, getting ready for love eventually after they leave the mall. and there's about 40 zombies on the way, so he's got to do it quick.
He's very self-destructive. I wonder if he believes the mannequin tells him not to test his blood pressure, and since he's so stubborn, he's like, shut up, I'm going to do it.
My name is Chuck Finley, and I march to the beat of my own drummer, and I'm going to check my blood pressure, woman, and you're gonna make my dinner. Because it's 1978.
And you're a mannequin, and I'm insane.
And I'm insane. I'm clearly insane because I'm wearing what seems to be a jean jacket over a Giants uniform. Like, what? What is Chuck doing? Chuck is just such a conundrum.
When you're in a biker gang, you're not specifically in that gang. You just joined up later with them. You want to stick out. You don't want to be. So if I join the Hells Angels, you have to wear the jacket. You have to do that. But if you join a biker gang in the apocalypse, you don't have to. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to find his individuality despite being in a gang.
I get it. So on the hopes of, okay, you remember me as Chuck, the guy with the sombrero. So when you see the living dead coming towards me, you make an effort to help me out because we got this sense of familiarity, as opposed to I'm just rando gang member number 17. Well, forget that guy. He's gone. No. We ditch him.
And
I get that.
I'm pretty sure Finley is, you have the crazy guy. Like Finley, they know Finley and they like Finley, but they give him his space. Yeah. Those people who are actually kind of out there. Like there's the people that, hey, you ate your stuffed crust pizza backwards, you're crazy. Chuck
Finley's
Finley,
the kind of guy.
He eats his stuffed crust pizza normally.
Right. Finley's the kind of guy who would play Contra without using the 30-man code.
Yeah.
Finley is definitely the kind of guy who drinks his own pee because it makes his skin glow. He's one of those. He's a weirdo.
When he heard up, down, left, right, he said, no.
No. BA, shut up. BA jerk, okay? Here's what's happening. I'm going to blast through this game because I'm Chuck Finley. He looks to the mannequin. He says, you and me, babe, let's go. He puts a controller in her hands.
Yep.
And, he thinks she's doing well because he's insane.
I love Chuck Finley. And I came up with the diastolic because it was a little trickier because normally blood pressure doesn't rise too much during exercise. The diastolic stands heavy lifting. But I'm like for a period of time. But I'm thinking that the physical exertion carrying around a mannequin, which I wrote, and I put equals decent shoulder workout. And then I put fear, stress, sodium, heavy food, and lack of sleep causes blood vessels to constrict and heart rate to elevate. Thus, when the action started, the pressure had to be greater to push through the artery walls. So the short bursts of sprinting, carrying of the mannequin, and fear elevated Chuck's levels to easily 128 during the melee.
I think that your hypothesis is sound, and you have the advice of 7 medical professionals and ex-professionals. I'm pretty sure that you look deeply into your cat's eyes and you put 2 choices in front of him, and then when the cat chose the one on the right, you said okay, and you patted him on the head. Yeah.
And my cat Ghost actually has a heart. My cat Ghost has a heart issue, so he knows.
Okay.
And I talked to the vet about
your cat.
Yeah, my cat. And when I was at the vet, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this zombie? No, I think we nailed it, Norbert. And I think we brought up other mysteries that I need to dive more into.
Yeah, he's definitely going to hook up with that mannequin. For sure.
This was fun, man. Thanks for joining me.
Yes, sir.
All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Norbert Cube Morvan, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.